Hello everyone. So another review here, and I want to review a book called Forgiveness is Really Strange. Can you see that? Forgiveness is Really Strange, and it's by Masi, Noor and Marina Cantacuzino. Art is by Sophie Standing, and the reason the art is really important is because this is basically a sort of almost like a graphic novel. Almost like a kind of graphic novel. It's not really a novel. It's basically a book talking about the nature of forgiveness, what forgiveness is, what's the risks and benefits of forgiving. The blurb on the back is what enables people to forgive and what are the risks and benefits of doing so. Why would I choose to forgive someone who has hurt me? So basically, it's kind of almost like a comic. It's like, it reminds me of one of those books you had when you were at school, like the Peter and Jane books, but this is for adults. But it's based, Masi Noor is a psychologist. I know that he's based at I think it's Keele University, and Marina Cantacuzino, she's a journalist and founder of something called the Forgiveness Project. So they have a couple of good websites, one called Forgiveness Toolbox and the Forgiveness Project. And the Sophie Standing is a London-based illustrator and designer specializing in human sciences. And they've written another book called Trauma is Really Strange, so I might do that one as well. This is probably the quickest book I've read in a while. I think this took me about half an hour to get through, maybe just slightly over that, because it's basically little ideas, then illustrated with things, but I've probably got more out of this than I have in a lot of books lately, because really it's about the nature of forgiveness, what forgiveness is, should we forgive, what's the benefits of forgiveness. And I don't just mean in a spiritual kind of way, but in physical. They looked at studies, and what those studies show, how people actually live longer when they learn to forgive. So really good stuff here. And I guess really it's like saying, and it isn't straightforward. It isn't sort of saying, oh, it's always better to forgive. I mean, it's actually saying, look, you've got to look at your reasons for forgiving. Is there an ulterior motive for forgiving? Is it really forgiveness? Are you just looking to be on the moral high ground? Or are you actually allowing injustice to continue? And you're actually just not taking any action, which they're saying is actually worse. So it's not about that. And they have a lot of good quotes from people like Desmond Tutu, Maya Angelou, and people who've had people die in terrorist attacks, or Palestinians who've had children killed by Israeli soldiers, racist attacks, things like that, and where the people that were on the brunt of those things decided to forgive, and what developed as a result of that. And a lot of great quotes about forgiveness, about how it breaks the cycle of revenge, and actually is for the person forgiving, and is much more beneficial. So yeah, I mean, a lot of great things. Where does forgiveness or taking revenge? Taking revenge is one way of regaining control and teaching the perpetrator some hard lessons. However, where does limitless revenge end? Let Lapa Mafalele, a former South African militant who spent years fighting apartheid, asks, if my enemies had been cannibals, would I have eaten white flesh? Which is a good point. I mean, how far do you go with revenge? And actually, South Africa in the apartheid regime is a really good example of forgiveness, where Bishop Desmond Tutu and also Nelson Mandela, I guess, by forgiving and actually having truth and reconciliation conferences, they saved the country. The country could have exploded, and it didn't. So it showed something really, makes a good point of that. I mean, when you look at it, really, you see that forgiveness is something that is of benefit to everyone, humanity, society, and not least of all, the individual themselves, and is a positive act. So, really good. I'm opening up here. Some really good bits in it. They've got this thing called the forgiveness toolbox, picture of a wee toolbox. So it's things like accepting responsibility, building bridges, empathy, curiosity and courage, resisting conformity. Basically, it's if you extend the focus of the question from why did this happen to me to why you, and then possibly to why us, and so you can transform hurt feelings into a bigger search for meaning. It talks about some of the Palestinians and Israelis and how they try to be a catalyst for change rather than just taking revenge. They have somebody called Gil Hicks who lost both her legs in the 7/7 London transport bombings, and how she wanted to forgive and learn why this had happened in the first place. Some really interesting things. Resisting conformity. To forgive, you have to be prepared to be an outsider and to question the assumptions, norms, and values of your society. It takes some nerve to forgive because it can be a lonely place, and those around you may see it as an act of betrayal or feel angry and vengeful on your behalf. This is really good stuff. There's almost something on every page of this that you can learn from. A little bit about the authors. One person's called Dr. Masi, Noor, and he says that growing up in he's an Afghani. Growing up in Afghanistan, I've had plenty of opportunities to experience hurt and loss. What's motivated me to explore forgiveness has been realizing the collateral damage that unforgiveness can cause, including losing my trust and confidence in others. These others were often just bystanders or guilty by association. Therefore, I was victimizing many innocent folk without realizing it. Forgiveness may not be as sweet as revenge, but it seems to have fewer damaging side effects. And the other person was Marina, Cantacuzino, and she said, over the years, I've witnessed people put their friends or family into exile because of something they've said or done or haven't said or done. It's always seemed such a brutal response to being hurt. While I'm dead against prescribing forgiveness, I've come to believe forgiveness is the oil of personal relationships. People will let us down, and forgiving is about letting go of the expectation that they won't. Really good thing there. So you've got to expect people are going to let you down. So give up the expectation that people won't do that. They will do that. Really, really good stuff. Like I said, there's something on almost every page, and it's written in a very kind of easy to understand way. I'd love to talk about almost every page on this, because there's something of a lesson there on almost every page. And it isn't just about being some sort of goody two-shoes and just, being a pacifist and just giving up and just forgiving everybody. They're not saying that. They're saying actually that's not a good idea, because actually then you continue oppression. You have to stand up, you have to speak up, but you take responsibility for things, and you can give up a lot of resentment and hurt and stuff. So yeah, definitely. It brings me back to that whole saying of the Buddha, if not forgiving or resenting somebody is like drinking the poison and expecting them to die. So this is very much, against that idea, but it does show you that, forgiveness is a bit complex. It's not as easy as that. You can't just go around forgiving everybody, because you may be doing that and actually making things worse for yourself. And people can abuse, people in marriages will abuse if they are not taken to task for things. So anyway, really good. Forgiveness is Really Strange by Masi, Noor and Marina Cantacuzino. If I've pronounced that right. Really good one. I would definitely pick this up if you can. As one that you will want to look at every now and then. Okay, thank you.